at the door in the basement, down in the basement. Grab a quarter and jack till your feet get sore in the basement, down in the basement. Do any dance you wanna do. There's no one under you in the basement, down in the basement.
All right, brothers and sisters, you've tuned into the Basement Tape Show with Nick and Bootsy. I'm Nick Thomas, along with Bootsy Hambone. We're bringing you guys the best indie music in the whole world because everybody's local to somewhere. That's why we love to play local bands, because they're all around the world, and there's some great musicians out there, too. Tonight, we just happen to have one of those musicians in the basement with us tonight, Mr. R.J. Comer. RJ,
hey,
how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It is great to have you finally. We've been playing your music for years with the Dance Hall Pimps and stuff. And your solo stuff is coming out really good.
Well, I sure appreciate it. Thanks.
And it's great to finally meet you in person.
Well, thanks for having me out. And we had a good time at my show in Rolla last night. You were there. And
oh, that was so fun. That was really fun.
But right now, we want to remind everybody that tonight is show number 350. So that kind of makes it special, too. 350 shows under our belt now. We've been doing it about 7 years. It's all brought to you by Merle's Music, one of the coolest little music stores in the whole world, right here in Rolla, Missouri. You can go on down there and walk up to the counter, tell them Bootsy Hambone sent you. They're going to get a big smile on their face. I'm not kidding. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. We're going to start out the first set with some songs that RJ is familiar with and was involved in. And so we're going to get a chance to talk to him about each one of these. We're going to start out with a song called Swamp Music Players out of Canada. And the name of the song is Return the 1%. Tell us about that, RJ.
Yeah, the Swamp Music Players are the Swamp Music Players are a musical collective out there, and so there's rotating members, and what they do is they reach out to artists all over the world that they like, and they invite us to participate in this collective. And so on this record, they invited me to do a song, and I said, "What do you want me to do?" And they said, "Well, we really want to do this cover of this old metal song called Return to the 1%er, which is a song about an outlaw biker who gets lynched by a town and comes back as a ghost to seek his revenge." The phrase 1%er in common parlance now, it normally means somebody who's very, very wealthy. But among outlaw bikers, a 1%er is the 1% of outlaw bikers who've chosen to live the outlaw lifestyle in its entirety. They don't have jobs. They are completely living the outlaw lifestyle. And if you meet an outlaw biker and they have a diamond patch with a 1 in it, that means they are a 1%er, and they're very proud of that patch. I've known a lot of outlaw bikers. I used to teach language and reading in one of the prisons, and the bikers were some of my students. So I have respect for the outlaw lifestyle. I don't have respect for the criminal lifestyle, but I do have respect for the outlaw lifestyle. So I was really pleased to sing this song. It's a very different song than I normally do. It doesn't even really kind of sound like me, but I wanted to do homage to that tradition, and so that's what I did.
All right, check this out. It's the Swamp Music Players doing Return of the 1%er.
red light. Every now and then he'd get into a fight. The people in the town, they came up with a plan, all just afraid of what they didn't understand. Well, across the road, they strung up a wire. They knocked him off his bike, and they set him on fire. They laid him down in a shallow grave. They all just spit, and no one prayed. They heard him say with his dying breath, I'll be back for you and all the rest. You better look out, all you saints and sinners, for the return of the 1%er. The 1%er, come back from the dead. The 1%er, come back for your head. And the ground began to shake. They found the mayor's head sitting on a stake. They heard the rumble of that OV twin, and everyone knew he was back again. For 3 days straight, he terrorized the town. Nothing they could do could bring him down. Come out, all you losers and winners, for the return of the 1%er. Ain't no difference to the saints and sinners, for the return of the 1%er. The 1%ers, come back from the dead. The 1%er, come back for your head.
Swamp music players right there doing Return of the 1%er from out of Canada with Mr. R.J. Comer on lead vocals there.
Yeah.
Excellent vocals at the very end. How you chimed in that octave lower and octave higher. That was
if you're listening carefully, there's like I tripled my vocal on that because I wanted. I mean, it's a ghost story, right?
Yeah.
This is about a guy who returns from the dead and
Yeah.
wreaks havoc on a town. So I wanted to create something that was very cinematic sounding, and the only way I could do that was take the distortion that was on the lead vocal and say, okay, now I'm going to sing it way down here, and then I sing way up on top, and then we just blended it into this ghostly, like multi-demonic sound. I hope it worked. I think it did.
Did you have fun with these guys when you were in Canada? Did you have fun doing that?
Yeah, I went, and when I thanks to the Swamp Music Players, I get to play Canada, because when I first went to Canada, it was because of them, over in British Columbia, and we played a show together in Vancouver. And I played a show in Victoria, and I walked into the venue in Victoria, first time ever playing Canada, and the place is packed. And I think I'm there on the wrong night, you know? And I go to the owner, and I say, hi, I'm R.J. Comer. She goes, oh, my God, I'm so glad you're here. It's like, we just can't wait to have you play. And it's like, so they're all here to see me? He goes, oh, yeah. And it was because of the Swamp Music Players, you know, because they boosted me. And based on that, I got to do Canadian Music Week the next year. You know, having had some success in Canada on the one coast, when I asked to do Canadian Music Week, I was invited to do that, and that was pretty cool.
Well, we've played tunes from them for a number of years too, and actually, John has written reviews. I think he wrote a review of a band called the Ball Gag and Chain Gang.
Great name.
But he's a really good reviewer writer too. So
he's kind of a genius. In
yeah,
many
well,
ways.
I kind of
he doesn't
figured that
actually play on
he
any of
does
the records.
everything.
He is the mad genius.
Yes.
Behind the Swamp Music Players, and he's got great musical tastes and a kind of a bizarre musical taste, but not in like, oh, he just likes it because it's weird. It's got to be weird and good, but he likes it because it's weird.
Yep.
Cool. Well, this next song we're going to do is out of Hollywood, California, a band called Maureen and the Mercury 5 doing Voodoo Bar. How do you relate to that one,
Well,
man?
it's a very different song than what you just heard. Voodoo Bar was a song that I wrote with my songwriting partner on the dance Hall Pimps, Steve Carr, who's a fantastic jazz guy, played with Buddy Collette. And the way we would write songs for the dance Hall Pimps, and most of the songs for the dance Hall Pimps were either written by me alone or me and Steve Carr. And Steve would write a melody on saxophone, or he would already have a melody on saxophone, and he'd send them, and I'd pick one, and I'd write lyrics to it, and we'd ultimately make a song. So he sent me this song on saxophone. It had all these weird intervals in it. It's like, I want to write a song with that. And I wrote Voodoo Bar. And I'll be honest with you, I was never pleased by the way the Pimps rendered the song, or the way I rendered the song during the time that we were trying to record it. We ultimately got somebody else to come in and sing lead vocals on the Pimps recording of it. But Maureen is a sort of a jazz rockabilly band. She's very sultry, and she really liked the track. There's 2 of my tracks on her record, and Voodoo Bar is one of them. And I think her version of Voodoo Bar is much better than the Pimps version, because it's really what we were trying to accomplish. And so this is a very jazzy, spooky track about a bar that you can't find in New Orleans, because if you find yourself in the Voodoo Bar in New Orleans, you can't leave. It's one of those kind of bars.
It's just like Hotel California.
It's the New Orleans version.
Cool. All right, check it out. Maureen and the Mercury 5 doing Voodoo Bar.
One night, 5 guys at the Voodoo Bar met their demise. At the Voodoo Bar, thought they'd crack wise, but they'd gone too far, dead by sunrise. At the Voodoo Bar, caught knives from a girl's eyes, 'cause a look can kill at the Voodoo Bar. Each night, women dance at the Voodoo Bar, act right. There's a chance at the Voodoo Bar you might taste romance from the candy jar. One bite, you're entranced at the Voodoo Bar, hanging tight, 'cause she just might be loving you to death at the Voodoo Bar. Dum-ba-da, da-lumbo, dum-ba-da, da-lumbo, dum-ba-da, da-lumbo. Until you are out of your mind. At the Voodoo Bar it all seems like a wild dream, until you can't wake up at the Voodoo Bar. Dum-ba-da, da-lumbo, dum-ba-da, da-lumbo, dum-ba-da, da-lumbo.
That's Maureen and the Mercury 5 from out of Hollywood, California, doing a song that Mr. R.J. Comer here wrote called Voodoo Bar.
Yeah, man.
That's some good stuff. I love her voice.
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
She is sultry, and she can sing those intervals.
Makes you actually feel like you're in a voodoo bar.
Yeah, that's the thing. And Maureen's show is very much you whether she does it in a honky tonk or where she does it in a cabaret, it always has this cool cabaret feel, that she brings to what she does, and she's got some great musicians to play with her.
So how did you meet her?
I met her through the guy that was representing me at the time, and they came to me and said, Maureen's making a record, and she's 2 songs short. You got anything for her? And I said, well, let me listen to her other stuff. And I listened to her, and I saw her live, like, oh, do I have some songs for her? So she did. So we gave her Voodoo Bar, which again I think is the better version than my own. And then I wrote a song that was really written for a female vocalist that I kind of wanted her to do, and it's very sultry. And I sing it myself in my live show, although I always feel a little weird when I do it because it's really from a female's perspective. I have to get in touch with my feminine side. It's called The Fire Won't Die, which is a very jazzy tune. So that's how we met.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Actually, I do a John Prine song called Angel from Montgomery that's written from a female perspective, of course. That's a classic right there. Well, what do we want to do next, Bootsy?
Well, we have got yet another song that RJ is connected to.
I think he's really connected to this one.
Yeah, the Hall Pimps was my band. And it's a band I started for fun. I started this band to have fun. And we did have fun for about, 9 months. And then suddenly we got noticed. And we got 2 record deal offers in about 9 months after we played our first public show. One from a little label in New Orleans and one from Lakeshore Entertainment, which is the movie company. And they have a record label attached to their company. And I was like, wow, I guess I'm a professional musician again. And this song Bootleg is off our second record. We needed some songs to complete the record. It so happened that Sylvester Stallone was making a movie, and he wanted covers of Bootleg to put in his movie. So a bunch of songwriters in LA took their shot at writing our version of Bootleg to try to get this job in this movie. And so I brought the Pimps together and okay, we're going to do a version of Bootleg for this movie. Maybe we'll get the job, but even if we don't get the job, we're just going to put it on the record as a cover. We didn't get the job, but it did get on the record as a cover, and it was a really fun song to do. It's a Creedence Clearwater Revival song, which we pimped out. Yeah.
Only right. And really, how can you not get a record deal with a band named Hall Pimps?
I think that got attention, but I will share my wife, who's just smarter and more sensitive than I am. She said, honey, the word pimp in today's world is not necessarily a good thing. Human trafficking is a real problem in this world, and you shouldn't necessarily be glorifying pimps. And I said, oh my gosh, I didn't think of that. I was coming up with a name that sounded fun and flamboyant. So whenever we mentioned the Hall Pimps, we created this tagline, Pimp Music, Not People. And if you get a Hall Pimps record, you'll see it on there, Pimp Music, Not People. And every single one of our merch says Pimp Music, Not People. And at the end of every show, hopefully the crowd's going crazy, and I would yell out, Pimp Music, Not People. But yeah, it was a very noticeable name.
Well, sit back, relax, and turn your speakers up just a little bit for this one. This is Hall Pimps doing Bootleg.
Bootleg, bootleg. you some cherry pie, but Lord, that ain't no fun. Better you grab it when she ain't looking, 'cause you know you'd rather have it on the run. Bootleg, bootleg, bootleg how? Bootleg, bootleg, bootleg how? Oh, bootleg, bootleg, bootleg how? Bootleg, bootleg, bootleg how?
All right, Dance Hall Pimps, right there out of Los Angeles, California, with Mr. R.J. Comer on lead vocals doing Bootleg by Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah,
Good
man,
stuff.
that was a fun track.
That's a lot of fun.
That makes me
there.
want to grow my hair really long so I can shake my head back.
Have you ever had your hair really long?
Not really long.
I know you were talking about earlier
You
that
know.
you used to have it really, really short.
I like wearing my hair in a high and tight, on a really tight crew cut because it's
Yeah.
just low maintenance. But I've never had it really long. In high school, which was back in the 80s, I had the typical, I call it the Hardy Boys hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had that.
Well, we got a place downtown in Rolla that they have a sign outside. It's a haberdashery. They have a sign outside that said mullet removal for free here.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. Well, I'll say this. Let's introduce R.J. Comer. He is in the basement tonight with us, and he is going to do some of his original stuff live on his acoustic guitar for us here in just a second. But first, we'd just like for you to give everybody kind of a background on your musical career and what's going on.
Well, thanks. First of all, I'm so glad to be here with you. It's like we've known each other with you playing the Pimps music and my music for so long. So I was really excited to be able to come to Missouri and actually do this in person. So I'm really excited to be here. So thanks for that. My musical journey is really the story of a kid who always wanted to be a musician and was a musician. I sang in church. I sang in musical theater. I went to music school. I directed my concert choir in high school. And then I found myself starving in America, literally starving in America as a grown man. And so I left music behind and went back to school, got a regular job, and worked a regular job for 20 years. When I started a band for fun, as I mentioned previously, we got signed, and I figured that was the universe or God telling me, it's time for you to get back into music, son. So I did that, and I ran with it, and I embraced it. Now I'm a full-time musician again, and after the Pimps did their ride, I went solo and started doing solo music that I really wanted to be. The Pimps music was a party band. We were a party, as you just heard. We were a party band. We were a good time band. But there was music I wanted to share that was more intimate and more personal, and that I had to do kind of solo. And so that's how it's progressed. And since then, I've moved from L.A. to Tennessee, pursuing music full time. I tour around the country. I'm blessed to tour around the country playing music for a living, which is really great. And I've had 3 records come out. Hellhole Swamp, which was a swamp record we did in Lafayette, Louisiana. And then I did a 2-sided single in New Orleans called New Orleans Undercover with all New Orleans musicians, recorded in across the river from New Orleans, in Algiers, but with New Orleans musicians. And then my most recent record, Nightly Suicide, which is recorded in L.A., but probably the most confessional and personal record I've ever done.
Nice. And now, what's the recording studio that Leonard Skinner talked about in their one song down in Louisiana?
I don't know.
The real famous one.
I don't know.
That Rolling Stones recorded there.
I don't know.
I'll look it up here in
I
just a
don't know
minute.
I don't know.
I have a question as far as you're in Tennessee now. What prompted you to move to Tennessee where you are? Were you trying to get in close proximity to Nashville, or you knew somebody in Tennessee, or you just rolled the dice and that's what came up?
It was 2 things. One, I come out to the South primarily to play music. You know, that's where I get booked. There's not as strong an audience for Americana blues and acoustic music like my acoustic music in California. I kept finding myself flying to New Orleans, renting a car and driving all over the South, or flying to Chicago, renting a car, going up to Canada or down into Tennessee, Georgia, or Texas. So when it came time to realize, why are we in LA? You know, let's move, and let's move out of Los Angeles, and let's get a place where we can have a lot of elbow room and live in the woods like my wife and I wanted to do. And I told her, all I need to be is near a music town. It doesn't have to be Nashville. It could be Austin, it could be New Orleans, it could be Memphis. I just need to be near a music town. She didn't like the weather in Austin. There was no way she was living in a swamp. So it came down to Memphis or Nashville. We just kind of tried to pick a place right in between the two. And we love it. You know, she has taken to living in Tennessee like you would not expect a California native girl from the city to take to it. She had taken to it.
That's kind of what we did with Bootsy there. She was from the city, and I mean, Dallas and Memphis, and moved her to St. James, Missouri. Man, it was like way out of her element, but she got used to it real quick. Yeah. It's nice to have a half-mile-long driveway where you can't see any neighbors, you know?
We were joking the other night at my show, as I mentioned that my driveway is a quarter-mile long, and Nick mentioned his driveway is a half-mile long. Well, that's the Southern country version of keeping up with the Joneses. Well, how long is your driveway? How long is your driveway? My driveway is longer than your driveway.
That's really good. And you can trim the trees down the side to make it look longer.
Nice.
What's the next? Well, let's get into some music for our listeners.
All right.
What do you want to do?
Well, let's do the title track from Nightly Suicide. It's a drinking song, but it's not a drinking song like "Oh Boy, Let's Drink." It's a drinking song that when you drink too much. And if you drink too much too often, then your life is like a suicide every night. And that's what this song's about. Sitting here counting drinks with my fingers, line them up again, start counting them with my toes. When I can't do the math no more, I should be calling it quits for sure. Instead I tell the barkeep, hey, let's have a few more of those. Never cared if I lived or died, but this nightly suicide keeps me alive till I decide it's time to go. Shadows on the wall, they all are dancing, but the people all around me sitting still. The shadows, they all turn on me like I seen what I ain't supposed to see. They say keep drinking, I say you bet I will. Never cared if I lived or died, but this nightly suicide keeps me alive till I decide it's time to go. I've loved some, fought some, drank some, that's what my life's been about. Went south, went wrong, went down, but now I know what I can't live without. In the glass behind the bar, I see the future. Through the shot glass in my hand, I see the past. I'm sharing a bottle with the ferryman, saving a coin for his bony hand, but he can wait by the river till I drunk my last. Never cared if I lived or died, but this nightly suicide
R.J. Comer right here in the Basement Tapes with Nick and Bootsy.
I would have never, ever, ever thought that I would hear that song live by you sitting right here in front of me. We played that song so many times, but
Well, thank you.
it's just great having you sitting right there in front of me and
Thanks.
doing it live. That was
For the record,
wonderful.
I'm drinking water, everybody.
He is. He is. We can vouch for that.
So what's coming up next for R.J.?
Well, this is actually almost my last appearance for the year. I have one more appearance in Bella Vista, Arkansas on November 1st at a place called JJ's. And then I'm focusing on making my next record. We're already making the record now. We've gotten the bass tracks and the drum tracks and the rhythm guitar tracks. And then my producer, Sean Byrne, great guy, he's off in Texas playing his mini tour, and we timed it so that I would go do my mini tour while he's away, and then we're both going to get back in early November and finish this record. Hopefully the record will come out in April of 2018. It'll be an LP, so there'll be 12 songs on there. And what's really next is my last two records, Hellhole Swamp and Nightly Suicide, have all been, very dark, exploring the dark inner resources of my very troubled past. And now I've kind of emerged into the light. There's going to be some songs in this record that are classic RJ songs, like you just heard, but there's going to be some songs where I lighten it up and sing about being in love, and,
Oh, wow.
and and show my more vulnerable side.
Anything close to a gospel in there, too?
Not quite yet. There was a song that was in the running called Junkyard Gospel, which is a tribute to my buddy Flip Cassidy and a place in California called East Jesus, but it didn't make the cut. It was very gospel-y, but it didn't make the cut. And the reason it didn't make the cut is I can't figure out how to end it. I kept trying to write an ending.
Well, you got to put amen on it.
Yeah, I just couldn't figure it out. Maybe it'd be on the next one, or maybe I don't even play it live. I can't figure it out, but it's very gospel-y.
All right.
Maybe it's because it's hard to be it's hard to do gospel by yourself.
It's
like being the lone mosher.
That's that's quite a description there. The Lone Mosher. That's a good name for a band.
Yeah. Remember the joke?
All they do is dirges.
I forget the movie. I think it was FM or something like that. But a band took over a radio station trying to get their music played, and the band was called the Lone Rangers. And the DJ says, "Well, if there's more than one of you, you're not exactly lone." Okay.
Oh, we didn't think about that.
Yeah.
We just thought it sounded cool.
Yeah, just like the Lone Rangers.
That's good. What you got lined up next,
Well,
RJ?
a title track from the first solo record, Hellhole Swamp, which we did in Lafayette, Louisiana, and we were. I love swamp music, and I wanted to do a swamp record, and so when we were down there, we came up with an idea to write a song about a prison break. Now, down in the South, when you escape from prison, you only have one choice of staying escaped from prison, and that is if you go to the swamp and stay in the swamp. But you have to know your way around a swamp. So it's not always the case, but if the most successful prison breaks, the ones that actually have resulted in not going back to prison, is usually by people who know how to live in a swamp. And there's a swamp down there, and every swamp that's really forbidding is just called, that's the Hellhole Swamp. It's like that's a place you don't want to go. There is a real place called Hellhole Swamp in South Carolina. It's not near a prison, and the people there are just dandy. They're wonderful people. So this is not about Hellhole Swamp, South Carolina. This is just about the idea of a very forbidding swamp you escape to when you get out of when you escape from Angola prison, if you dare. White mist rising like a smoky flood, dirty yellow moon seeping rings of blood, mossback rabbit on a midnight run, swamp water hide the footprints in the mud. Desperate men when they break free, they don't run far, but they do run deep into Hellhole Swamp. Into Hellhole Swamp. When the take his eyes off the gate. Time to ride the fog like a shadow through. The bloodhound boys, they turn to gator bait as the water closes around them like they tend to do. In fury they come, in silence they fall. Lost in the dark, the gator's gonna get 'em all round Hellhole Swamp. Round Hellhole Swamp. Run, bad dog, run. Freedom ain't redemption for what you've done. But run, bad dog, run. Escaping from detention, you're a legend to some. Run, bad dog, run. Ghostly whispers can be heard in the trees as the canopy darkens and the critters fall still. The unredeemed legend gets down on his knees. Either God claims his soul or the hellhole will. Beauty and danger occupy the same space in the shadowed grace of a forsaken place called Hellhole Swamp. Called Hellhole Swamp.
Mr. R.J. Comer.
Thank you so much. I want to invite your audience to go check out the music videos I make for these songs, both Hellhole Swamp and Nightly Suicide. And the title and one of the tracks from Hellhole Swamp called I Wasn't Born an Angel. If you go to R.J. Comer YouTube channel, you'll get to see lots of live videos of me, but also some really cool concept music videos that we work hard on and try to be really entertaining with. So I hope you enjoy those. And there's one for each one of those songs.
Cool. That's nice. And I'm sure there's probably a lot of Dance Hall Pimps on YouTube, too.
There isn't as much. And and the reason is there was no budget there wasn't much budget at the record label for making music videos. So there is a music video for probably the Dance Hall Pimps' most popular song, which is Mommy Was a Zombie, appropriate for an October. So we'd have that music video, and then there's a music video for Beast for Love. But there actually isn't a lot of music videos of Dance Hall Pimps. I wish there were more. But
we know we always play "Mommy Was a Zombie" for our Halloween show.
Yeah, it's it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds, right? It just goes by like fast. It's like a Ramones track.
I love those guys.
Yeah, nothing like that's radio friendly right there. 2 minutes and 28 seconds.
I guess you don't have a whole lot of songs that are that short.
Well, I actually really try to be radio friendly with my songs. If a song, like when I'm making a record and I'm looking at a track and it's going to 4:20 and 4:15, it's like we got to cut 15 seconds off of this, and if we can cut 30, that's even better.
Yeah,
And Nightly Suicide, most of those songs come in at about 3:28, 3:30.
Yeah. Well, I remember an interview with John Prine one time whenever he was doing the duet album, In Spite of Ourselves. He says, yeah, all those old duets with all, the older people, they were like 2 minutes long, and so you had to come up with like 50 songs to make an album.
That's right. Right.
Bootsy, I had another question real quick.
Go ahead.
Shoot.
What's RJ stand for?
Oh, Robert James.
Okay.
And I was raised, most of my young life I was Bob, and my family still calls me Bob. Mm-hmm. I never really liked the name Bob, but I didn't make up RJ. I was working with a guy, I had a job working armored trucks. It's one of the many weird jobs I did is I was that guy in the armored truck. And I had a buddy, every morning he'd come in and he'd say, "Looking good, RJ," and I'd say, "Feeling good, KB," because that was his initials. KB never stuck with him, but RJ stuck with me forevermore. Well, I kind of liked it, so I kept it.
I was just kind of thinking maybe you're a junior, but you just took the JR and turned it around, you know?
No.
That's something you would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah. Look at Nick Thomas.
But my mom finally has, given in to occasionally calling me RJ. But mostly when I go back, when I hang out with my family, I'm still Bob. Sometimes it's Bobby Bear.
Oh, yeah.
And not Bobby Bear, the great country singer.
Yeah.
Bobby Bear, like B-E-A-R, like, isn't he cute?
I love Bobby Bear music.
So do I.
That's good. That's good. What's up next,
Wasn't
Bootsy?
he do Pour Me Another Tequila, Sheila?
Yeah.
That was Bobby Bear, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
He had a lot of really funny songs, too. He was just a good songwriter. He was. Yeah.
Well, since we're going to prevail on RJ to sing more songs for us tonight, we figured it might be really nice to give him a little break right now.
All right.
And play a recorded RJ Comer song. And this RJ Comer song is called Steppin' Down. And actually, I think we played that song within about the last 6 weeks or so, once or twice.
Hey.
Appreciate
But
that.
we didn't have you here to tell us all about it. And now that we do,
Well, thanks for playing it. Steppin' Down, it's a song I don't normally play live because I don't play it live to my satisfaction, but I love the recorded version of it. It's on the Nightly Suicide record. And when you listen to it, it's easy to think, oh, this is a song about suicide. But it's not a song about suicide. It's really a song about the music industry. And it's a song I wrote when I went solo from, having been assigned, artist with a band, and all of that. I was really disenchanted. I was disenchanted with the way the music industry was transforming. And everyone was saying, oh, it's the best time to be an artist because you can get your music out there. Well, it's true you can get your music out there, but, then you just join this mass of people trying to get their music out there. And there's this whole industry of people that promise you the world in exchange for something and don't give you anything in return. Everybody's making money but the artist. And I was really disenchanted with that. I was just disenchanted with the rat race of the music industry. And rather than just abdicate and stop doing it, because I didn't want to do that, I wrote a song about it. And Stepping Down is really about stepping away from the chasing a label version of being an artist, trying to get signed, trying to get A-list country artists to sing your songs, stepping away from that rat race. And instead, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to sing the songs I want to sing. I'm going to write the songs I want to write. And I'm just going to hope that that it resonates with an audience. That's what the song's really about.
Well, let's check it out. Bootsy, have you got it lined up?
I do.
All right. Here it is, RJ Comer.
Runner's legs, barely walking, expressive eyes. And they ain't talking about marquee lights or days gone by. And I don't care no more, 'cause I've surrendered my attachment to the outcome of everything I once tried to run. Feels so much better now that I've abandoned hope. I'm stepping down. I'm stepping down. Yeah, I won that race to where it's at. Yeah, I won that race 'cause I'm the fastest rat. So now I'm stepping down. Yeah, I'm stepping down. Endless nights of promises and lipstick lies, from denizens of dream machines that don't produce not a single thing of any use. So to black. No blaze of glory, no coming back. No coming back. No coming back. I'm stepping down, no coming back. Stepping down. Stepping down. I'm stepping down, I'm stepping down. Stepping down.
Stepping Down by Mr. R.J. Comer right there. That is his recorded version because he says
I don't play it live.
he doesn't play it live.
It takes it. Excuse me. I should have tuned up while it was playing, and I didn't. So you'll bear with me while I'm going to talk while I tune. It's just like a live show, ladies and gentlemen. I talk while I'm tuning my guitar, just like you are there. But no, Stepping Down is just one of those songs because if you listen carefully, it's got both a standard guitar and a baritone guitar in it, and it's such a rock song. At the end, it builds to this really powerful place that I haven't been able to figure out how to do that as a solo artist to my satisfaction. And maybe I'm being too hard on myself, but
Well, now was
I've got to believe in what I'm doing before I do it in front of people.
that's a fact.
know?
That's a fact. Yeah. Now is that the gold tone baritone?
Yeah,
that
the
you were
gold
playing
tone
on?
baritone that I play, that was on that record, yeah.
No kidding. And I
I
love.
liked that.
After I
really
heard
like
you
that
play that
sound.
the other night, I've got to get me one now.
They're really
I
cool.
knew
Got
that
to
was
get me one.
coming as
Yeah.
soon as
Real
you
guitar
picked it
players come
up.
like me, they come to the studio and they look at it and it's like, what is that? And I thought Gold Tone just made banjos. And they make pretty good banjos. But, there's only 3 companies that make decent acoustic baritones. Gibson, Martin, and Gold Tone. But the Gibson and Martins are very expensive
I
because they
bet
don't
they
make
are.
a lot of them. So they're
Yeah.
$6,000 a pop.
Oh, ow.
And until one of those companies sponsors me, I can't afford that guitar, So the Gold Tone's a great guitar. And it's an acoustic electric, so you can plug it in and you can put stuff on. It's just the coolest thing.
I've got to check it out.
Yeah. It's cool.
Okay, well, tell everybody to hit you up on Facebook.
Yeah,
and
hit me
stuff.
up on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's RJ Comer Music on Facebook, and Facebook is the social media site I am most active on. So I am the one that responds to every comment. I'm the one that if you message RJ Comer Music on Facebook, it will be me responding to you. That's the one that I handle myself, and I love interacting with people there. So please come and give that a like, and tell me what you think and comment on what I post, and I'll comment back.
And tell them Bootsy sent you.
And John Boots. Yeah. I'm also on all the other social media sites, and I'm active, but I'm not as active on like Instagram and Twitter as I would be on Facebook. And you can reach me at rjcomer.com. The website has all the information on it. And again, I've already mentioned the YouTube channel, RJ Comer YouTube. And when you can get my music online, and if you come to a show, we have these really cool USB drives that travel way better than jewel case CDs, and it's a credit card size USB that you flip out, plug into your computer, and has all 3 records on it. Next tour, I'll have all 4 records on it.
Nice.
It's really cool. Yeah.
That makes me think of there's a one of the professors that I have produced in the past. Great guy. He teaches geology, and he's probably in his late 60s. Great guy. His students love him. But one of the first times I produced him, he stood up behind the desk and he held up a USB flash drive and he went, "Check it out. I used to have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks full of what I taught in this class." And he goes, "It's all on this now."
Yeah, sometimes technology is a good thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Takes
Yeah.
up a lot less space, that's for sure.
Well, when I'm recording my home studio, I'm using digital now, and it's the special effects and the drums and stuff and everything that comes with the digital is just. I still love analog too. I still got my analog 8-track but but that digital just makes it so much easier.
And it really depends. I mean, I don't know if your audience really likes us talking about gear and recording techniques, but
they do.
If they do, we're gonna go there now.
We do that all the time.
Yeah. It really depends on what you're recording. You know, like I'm a big fan of the song, and the instrument will tell you how it wants to be recorded, and will tell you what it wants. And as an artist, I try to get myself out of the way of the song when I make a record. And I learned that. You know, I learned that on the Hall Pimps first record, because there's a lot of songs on there that we didn't need those solos to be as long as they were. You know, and man, if I could do that record over, I'd do so many things different. But I learned to let the song tell me what it wants to be. And I also learned that if that instrument, if let's say you're doing cello, and that instrument wants to play into a mic, and that mic wants to go analog, because that's how you're going to make that cello sound like it's there, then that's what you got to do, you know?
Excellent point.
You know?
Excellent. Yeah.
Just let the instrument and song tell you what it wants. Listen carefully, and you'll know what to do.
Yep, there you go. And you know, I hear the songs in my head before I start to record them, and it never quite turns out exactly the way I've been hearing them in my head out on the final recording. No. Never does.
And that's same true when I like to gig a song a lot before I record it. I like to live with the song, because I'll figure out how I really want to sing it. And I don't worry too much about how I'm going to play it, because I don't actually play the instruments on my records, folks. Be honest with you. There's a whole lot of better guitar players in this world. They don't need R.J. Comer playing guitar on his own record. You know? I can get someone who can play it just like me, only better. You know? So I focus on how I sing the song, but gigging the song and playing it in front of audiences, finding out how that song's going to land, what tempo to sing it at, and where to place it, that's for me really, I'm blessed that I can do that. I mean, if I were so successful that I had to churn records out one after the other, I had to go into the studio and let's write a record and record it, I don't know how they do that. I have never done that, and I don't know how to do that, and I'd be afraid that the record that would come out of that would not be the songs that I really would have wished I'd have recorded if I lived with them longer.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of interviews about stuff like that. And Aerosmith, you know, the Smith Brothers, the bad boys from Boston, they go in and they record the whole song, and then they lock Steven Tyler in a room until he comes up with the lyrics, and then they let him out of the room after he's come up with the lyrics and let him sing to it, you know.
And they made some great records, so it worked.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, the next song, tell us about the next song.
Well, the next song, another drinking song. So, folks, if you're at home, don't drive. You know, crack a beer, pour yourself a drink. This is a fun drinking song. It's off the first Hall Pimps record, and it's called "You Drink Like I Do Too." And the story behind it is I was in New Orleans, and I met what the self-described town drunk in New Orleans. Now, you know how drunk you got to be the town drunk in New Orleans?
That's drunk.
Pretty darn drunk, ain't it? And I asked him, I said, hey, man, why do you drink so much? And he said, man, if you had my kind of troubles, you'd drink like I do too. And so that's kind of how the song evolved. And I do it as a solo artist. It's going to be, my solo version is going to be on the next record. So I'd like to do that song for you right now. And if you drink, pour yourself a drink. If you don't drink, this is a really good time to call your sponsor.
Got a taste for the bourbon, kissing mommy goodnight when she had a few. If you had my kind of trouble, Lord, you drink like I do too. Ran away to join the circus. They said, boy, we got enough clowns like you. If you had the kind of rejection I've had, let me tell you now, you drink like I do too. Got a job at the cemetery, dropping dead folk in the ground. But them dead folk, they got to talking to me. Woke up in a white room with my limbs all strapped down. I got to gnawing, found a mojo woman who said,
bad boy. You got a bad curse of beaucoup noir voodoo. If you had my kind of trouble, Lord, I'm telling you, you drink like I do too. Oh yeah, you drink like I do too. Went down to the crossroads to see the devil and sell my soul for better luck on the spot. But that devil said on the level, now boy, you're trying to sell me what I already got. And that's my story, and I'm telling it to you true. I've been haunting this here Boston since 1932. If you had my kind of trouble, Lord, I'm telling you, you drink like I do too. Lord, Lord, if you had my kind of trouble. It's just my point of view. You drink like I do too. Oh yeah, you drink like I do too. You know you would. You drink like I do too.
I love that song, man. Okay. And you are tuned in to the best little indie show on the radio, the Basement Tape Show with Nick and Bootsy and R.J. Comer tonight.
Woohoo!
It
Having a
is-
good time in the basement.
It is great to have you on the show, man.
You know,
We've been looking forward to this
Thank
for a
you
long
so much.
time.
And I have,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have too. I always think of that Bob Dylan song. Whenever I think of the basement, it's like, brothers in the basement mixing up the medicine.
Yeah.
I'm on the pavement worrying about the government. Look out, kids. It's something you did.
That's how we got the name of this show, because I think he's got an album called The Basement
Yeah, he
Tapes.
does.
Yeah.
He does, yeah.
And when we were trying to come up with a name for this show, that just kind of worked because we were hanging out in the basement doing stuff then.
It was either that or the Pizza Tapes by the Grateful Dead. Jerry Garcia,
Basement tapes works pretty good.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that works pretty good.
All right. Do us another one, can
All
you,
right,
brother?
I can.
This is great.
I'm going to sing Pretty for you now, if I can. This will be on the next record. Like I mentioned, I'm going to do a little more love songs, a little more tenderness. I'm 54 years old. I finally got in touch with my feelings.
Wait, stop.
Yeah,
Stop. Are you getting ready to do Leave the Light On?
I am.
You're skipping one.
I am?
Yes,
Oh, I
you're
am
supposed to
skipping
do the one that's never been
Oh,
recorded.
you're right. I skipped ahead. Thank you for stopping me.
That's because I really want
I'll
to hear
sing
this
Pretty
song.
for you in a minute.
I want
but-
to hear this song, too.
Yeah. So this song here, Outlaw's Cadence, also a Steve Carr and R.J. Comer song. Steve sent me a tune, sent me a melody, and I was like, that melody sounds familiar. And it, like da 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 da. And like, I go, Steve, I wrote a song based on this, and it's a co-write, but you didn't write that melody. He goes, I did too. I go, no, you didn't. Because that is the Marine Corps cadence. I don't know, but I've been told. That kind of thing, right? And I said, we're going to keep it because we'll write the song and it'll still be a song. But then I realized, well, let's just call it cadence. So it's the Outlaws cadence. If there was a boot camp for outlaws, this is the Outlaws cadence. Outlaws die before they're old. And I don't know, but it's been said, better dead than old instead. Crescent moon up in the sky, smiles at me, says I'll get by. Heaven's gate I sneak through by dawn, before the devil knows I'm gone. But I'm not a bad guy, I've just done some bad things to get by. Mama told me to do my best, so I broke out before they set my bell. On the run, I saw the world, 'cause it's my oyster and I miss Pearl. Never took more than I need. A man is lost, he ain't got a creed, see. But I'm not a bad guy. I've just done some bad things to get by. One time I tried to play it straight, but I just kept scratching on the eight. Playing straight, it ain't my game. It's just crooked with a phony name. Playing straight mean the rich folks do the crime, and the poor folk do the time, and the bad folk hide behind someone. So on Judgment Day I won't be shy when they judge what kind of man was I. For the things I done, I'll take the blame, but for the man I was, I won't be ashamed to say I'm an outlaw and that's the dirt. But I help more folks than I ever heard. Bad guy stabs you in the back, and outlaw won't fight a man who isn't fighting back. You see, I'm not a bad guy. I've just done some bad things to get by. I'm not a bad guy. I've just done some bad things. I've just done some bad things. I've just done some bad things to get by. Yeah.
All right. Woo. I just done a
First time
Nick and Bootsy
ever
basement
recorded.
tape. Yeah, exactly.
First time ever recorded.
That song has not made any of my records, and it's not making the next one neither.
That's too
Yeah.
bad,
I
man,
know, it
because
just
that
doesn't
is
make
that
the
is
cut
a
every time. I don't
great
know why.
song.
That is a
Maybe
great
we'll have
song.
to do it as a single or something.
I think everybody does a few bad things that get by once in a while.
Well,
you know?
I'm hoping that even the typical law-abiding citizen can occasionally relate to the outlaw.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
so. I think everybody
Yeah.
can at some point.
No doubt about it. There was a part in that where you said something about being old is better than being dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because we do a song by Todd Snyder called "Age Like Wine."
Uh-huh.
You know, have you heard that song before? I love that song. We do that and we blend it right into Bear Run when we play it too, of course. Just like Todd Snyder, you know. He's that's one of those songs. You know, it's you kind of when you get older, like our age, you know,
Yeah.
getting okay. Of course, me and Bootsy are a little bit older than you are.
Yeah, but you look younger.
Oh,
you know? You do. You're like, I think
Age is a matter of mind. If you
it
don't
sure is,
mind
man.
it, it
It's like, I was
don't matter.
much older when I was in my 20s than I am in my 50s. Much older. Older, weary, worn out, and angry. That was my 20s. Yeah. Now I'm jolly and friendly in my 50s.
That's great. That's the way it should be. Yeah. All right. Bootsy, do you have any more questions for RJ right now? I know you do.
I've always got questions. Yeah, I have a question for you. At what point, you said you accidentally got into the music business when you decided for fun to play with dance hall pimps. At what point in your life did you actually stop and think that music is something you would like to pursue as a profession?
Well, I always wanted to pursue music. When I was a little kid,
Really?
I was singing in church. I was a boy soprano. My first job was singing. I would get paid to sing the Ave Maria at every wedding in Chicago. If they couldn't afford me, they got Tommy London. It was one of us because we were the two kids who could sing it. And I did musical comedies. And when I figured out I didn't want to be a priest, I knew that I wanted to be a musician. And in high school, I directed the concert choir. I wrote choral pieces. I went to music school. I wanted to be a film composer, and my declared instrument in music school was voice. But then after that, I couldn't make a living. I was starving. I just couldn't figure out. I didn't want to teach music. I didn't want to do. I couldn't find jobs writing scores for movies. And I couldn't make a living as a performing artist, and I was starving. And so I finally gave it up. I went back to school, got a political science degree, and worked as a consultant for 20 years. And then started a band for fun in my 40s, and that band got signed. That was the Hall Pimps. And that's how I got back into the music business. But, while I had a very, very nice career for 20 years, music was always my calling. It never wasn't. I just had to put it on hold while I actually put a roof over my head and fed myself for a while.
I kind of was in the same boat. I always wanted to be a professional musician. I was going to college, and I took music in college, and holy crap, that's worse than physics.
Oh, my God.
And
Being
stuff.
a music student?
And, yeah.
You have these one-unit courses called repertoire, where you have to, prepare a repertoire 3 hours. It's a 3-hour seminar course once a week. It takes 25 hours a week to prepare for that one-unit course.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
It is. And I looked at, I was talking to my professor at the time, the music professor, and he noticed I had a Kiss belt buckle on back then. And he says, son, if you want to be a musician like that, you got it right now. You got to move to L.A. or New York. You got to get out of Missouri, And I didn't do that because of family and stuff like that. So I joined the Army and jumped out of airplanes.
There you go. Well, that's just as thrilling as a Kiss show.
But then, then I got out, and I always played music, always. Yeah. But I just didn't, like some people say, you get the calling if you're going to be a pastor or a priest or something, or you get the calling if you're going to be a professional musician, kind of like what you're talking about. And I always thought I had that calling for a musician, but like you say, it's tough to make a living being a musician.
Right. And I come from a poor family. I was not one of those guys that was willing to starve and not have a life. I mean, for me, I make no bones about it. It was important for me to not ever have to worry about food again. I don't want to be, food insecurity. That was not how I wanted to live. That's how I lived when I was a kid. I don't want to live like that. I was willing to sacrifice my dream of being a musician to have a stable life with a stable income. And luckily, through the grace of God, because it really wasn't none of my doing, I got pulled back into the music business when I was able to be a professional musician. So I consider that providence. I consider that a blessing.
Well, you're definitely a professional. There's no doubt about that. and you have one of the best voices that I've ever. It is. It's fantastic. You know how to control it. You know how to control the microphone, the depth of it, the height of it. You're.
Thanks a lot.
Very, very good.
Yeah, I was thinking when we saw you Friday night, I kept looking at Nick and saying, this guy is an entertainer. I mean, there are some musicians who they're great musicians, but they just stand up there and you're an entertainer. You're all around musician, entertainer. You're the type of musician that I want to go see. I love live music. We're live music junkies. We love to go see live music of all different types. So when R.J. Comer is not the live music, what type of music do you like to go out and see live?
Oh, that's a great question. I like to go see. I mean, there's the type of music I really love is I'm a blues guy. I would be a blues artist if I didn't think the market didn't need R.J. Comer to join it. There's plenty of blues artists out there that sing better than me, and I don't want to compete in that market. But I love blues, so I love to go out and see the blues greats and the blues unknowns and see what they do and they bring to the blues. Like, for example, there's a guy named Fantastic Negrito. Won the Grammy for the best contemporary blues record this year. And he's amazing. And I wanted to see him. But then I also like roots music. And so I will go see... I remember the first time I saw Reverend Peyton and his Big Damn Band. I was in San Francisco I wasn't in San Francisco for music at all. I was there for a Masons convention. I'm a Freemason. I was there at the Grand Lodge in California. And I was like, okay, I've got a night off. I opened the thing and I saw Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band. And I was like, I want to go. That just sounds cool. I'm going to go see that guy. And I became a Reverend Peyton fan ever since. And we now have a signed washboard signed by Reverend Peyton's wife that we got at one of the Reverend Peyton shows. So that's what I go see. And then I also, like last night here in Rolla, I had a night off. It's like, let's go see, the guy playing covers over at Public House Brewing Company. Let's see what he brings to those cover songs. And he brought a really kind of cool style to them. And then I saw a tribute band in Rolla over at the Tater Patch, playing classic rock, the kind of music I love. I'm a classic rock guy. It's my guilty pleasure. I admit it. I'm a Whitesnake fan. Don't hold it against me. And they were great. I mean, they were just believing what they were doing. They're really strong musicians. They're playing classic rock music, people singing along. That's what I do.
Isn't live music just the greatest? Whether you're playing it or whether you're in the audience enjoying it, you just cannot. It seems like people don't get out for live shows like they did when
we were teenagers.
When we were teenagers. I mean, that was like the thing to do, is to go see a live show.
Well, and back when we were teenagers, you could go see Foghat at the local Holiday Inn and stuff like that, That was the good old days.
Yeah, those were the good old days.
Well, when I was a kid, I lived in Memphis. And if you know anything about Memphis, back in the 60s and 70s, the place to go for any kind of music was Overton Square. And Overton Square Henry Gross used to play at Overton Square. All kinds of bands went through Overton Square. It's not there anymore, but it's kind of like in Midtown Memphis. But it was like bars lined up, people on the streets. I guess everybody moved over to like the Beale Street area of Memphis now, but that was a great place to go for live music. And you would just go on a Friday night and just start walking, go in doorways, and you heard all kinds of music. And I got hooked on live music back then, and I've never ever lost interest in it.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't know why live music. I mean, there's still towns like Austin is a live music town, New Orleans is a live music town, and there are areas where live music is important. But I think in the digital age that, and I just don't think that being able to perform live is necessarily a requirement anymore. There's a lot of musicians that make great records and they don't necessarily perform live, or they're great live performers and they're obscured by all the extra stuff going on stage. Like, for example, I knew that Lady Gaga could play piano and sing. I knew it because I saw an old video of her before she was Lady Gaga. If she wanted to be a jazz singer, she probably wouldn't have made as much money as she did as Lady Gaga. But she'd have made a living as a jazz singer, just playing piano and singing. And when she does that, I love her. I'm a huge fan. And I would go to a Lady Gaga show if she was just doing that. If she was going to do the Melody Gardot version of Lady Gaga, which like sit in front of a piano, play and sing, maybe with a quintet or a quartet backing you up, I'm your guy. I would go to that. I would want to see that. But the music industry often will require an artist to not do something that's spare and put all this extra stuff on it. And I think that's also interfering with the ability to have the intimate experience. Because I'm sure a Lady Gaga show is a blast. I'm not sure it's intimate, from what I can see. Any more than, a Marilyn Manson show was intimate. I've been to pretty much every Marilyn Manson show there is. And I had a great time, but I can't say any of them were intimate. Not sure I'd want to be intimate with Marilyn.
That could be scary.
That could be a little scary.
Yeah.
I love him, but from a distance.
Yeah. Well, let's put some shout-outs right now. You want to put a shout-out? How about Ron Benoit? We saw him at the Public House the other night. He was there to see you.
He was there to see you
really
because
he
listens to us all the time, and if we recommend somebody in town that's coming through, you can bet Ron Benoit's going to be there.
Well, we appreciated Ron a lot. He was a great guy too.
Yeah,
he is.
And anybody else that's out there listening tonight, we hope you're enjoying the show with RJ here in the basement. And
we want to thank Donnie Lightning Fingers for coming and hanging out with us, sitting there so quietly with his mouth hanging open, starstruck, bigger than anything.
Oh,
he is.
And RJ, do you got anybody you want to put a shout out to?
Well, I want to, of course, first and foremost, I want to say hi to my wife, Deborah. She's the shining light back in Tennessee. She doesn't travel with me. I don't think she would like traveling on the road, but you know, I miss her, and you know, she is, you know, my backbone, and I've been married for 21 years consecutively to her, and you know, so shout out to Deborah for helping. You know, she makes me a better man, and it's as simple as that. Also, a shout out to Kate McCready, who came out 120 miles up from southern Missouri to see the show the other night. Drove back. You know, is you know, a fan like that who's willing to come all the way up, you know, just to see you live is really important. So, Kate, thank you, darling. I love you. Really appreciate that.
All right. Well, I hope she listens to the podcast so she can hear you do that shout out for her.
Bet.
Yeah, I'm glad I gave her one of our cards too. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You want to do one more song?
I'll do one
for
more
us?
for you since I mentioned my wife.
He's going to do something purdy now.
I'll do Purdy. Let me tune up again. It's for those of you out in Radio Land. It's raining and wet here in Rolla, and that does a number on an old Martin. So the tuning is, you have to put up with me. I'm sorry about that. Put it this way, it's way better than listening to me play out of tune, ain't it?
Absolutely.
All right. This year's song's called Leave Your Light On. Ain't no signs along the road that I'm on, and the street lights that I found, they're all busted. The night stretches out past the dawn. I've been out so long, my eyes can't be trusted. And I say, oh, darling, leave your light on, so I can find my way to you tonight. Oh, darling, leave your light on, and the light in me will shine for you as bright as the moon on the sea. When we're sailing away, the world behind us. And if there's no moonlight or stars, then the light in our hearts will always guide us. And I say, oh, darling, leave your light on, so I can find my way to you tonight. Oh, darling, leave your light on, and the light in me will shine for you is bright. There may come a day when the flowers die, the dogs run away, and the fountains dry, and the sun can't beat those shadows from our door. But at those times when clouds invade us, the lane can't drown the flame that made us know. Heck no. And I say, oh, darling, leave your light on, so I can find my way to you tonight. Oh, darling, leave your light on, and the light in me will shine for you is bright. The light in me will shine for you as bright. The light in me will shine for you as bright. Thank you so much.
Very pretty.
That was pretty.
RJ, it's been a blast having you here.
Thank you so much. I had a great time.
Oh,
It was
you
really
can
a good time.
you can hang around as long as you want.
Happy to do so. Happy
You
to do
bet.
so.
We're gonna have to get some pictures and stuff like
Okay.
that too.
I'll put my hat on.
All right, I'll put mine on too.
I got rain hair.
But right now, this is the part of the show we're gonna let Bootsy introduce her Bootsy's Band of the Week.
Okay, this week it's Bootsy's Bands. Because there are 3 bands, 2 of which we've played before, and one of which this is the first time we've ever played them, who are coming out with brand new CDs in October. And so all of these songs are brand new. The first one, this was great. We got here when I came for chick band practice. There was a package waiting, and the package was from Trevor and the Joneses out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and it had their brand new CD in it. So I've chosen a song off that called Squares, and another band that we played here recently is called Dyed in Blue, and they're doing a cover of like one of my favorite songs ever. It's a Firefall tune called Strange Way, and they're from Ontario, British Columbia, Canada. And the band that we've never played before, this is a really cool band name, Successful Failures. I'm not really sure what that means.
Sounds like an R.J. Comer song.
But they're going to do a tune called All Rise, and they're from Chesterfield, New Jersey. So everybody, sit back, relax right now, and let's hear a little Trevor and the Joneses.
dream of laughter, you came creeping with your fears, telling me your sorrow in the tracings of your tears. That's a strange way to tell me you love me, when your sorrow is all I can see. If you just wanna cry to somebody, don't cry to me. Don't cry to me. Didn't I hear your voice this morning? Didn't you call my name? Heard you whisper softly, but the words were never plain. And in your dream of darkness, I came shining like the sun, waiting for the laughter, but the laughter never comes. That's a strange way to tell me you love me, when your sorrow is all I can see. If you just wanna cry to somebody, don't cry to me. Don't cry to me. Didn't you feel alone
Okay, that was my Bootsy's Bands of the Week. The albums, Trevor and the Joneses, their tune Squares comes off their new album called Take You to Stay. Dyed in Blues cover of Firefall's Strange Way comes off of their new CD called Moment of Leaving. And Successful Failure's tune All Rise, you're going to love the name of this album. The name of the album is Ichor of Nettle.
And what does that mean?
I have no clue.
You'll have to look them up and ask them, I guess.
But all of those are out this October. I think they've all just come out within the last week.
That's pretty cool. And you heard it first right here in the basement with Nick and Bootsy. We're having a great time here. We're sitting here eating cold pizza with RJ and Donnie, Lightning Fingers, and Bootsy. And just having a great time. We can give RJ another chance to, kind of wrap things up and let everybody know where they can find his music.
Yeah, come visit me at my website, RJ Comer. That's rjcomer.com. And the social media platform where I am most active is my Facebook page, RJ Comer Music on Facebook. If you are in the northern Arkansas, southern Missouri area on November 1st, I'll be at JJ's Grill. That's an early show, 5 to 7, but it's a long show. I get to do my 2-hour show there at JJ's. And that will probably be the last time you'll have a chance to see me live until probably next year sometime when I go out in support of the new record. So northern Arkansas, southern Missouri, come on out. I'll be there.
Well, can you give us a hint on what the name of the new album's going to be?
I don't know if I'd love to, but I'm afraid I'll get in trouble if I do.
You got to keep that secret for now.
My distributor might say, RJ, we haven't decided on what the title track is, and you don't want to put it out there and be wrong. I can tell you it won't be dark.
Okay.
It won't be Nightly Suicide or Hell All Swamp. I will pick a title of track that is the opposite of that kind of darkness that I because I want the audience, I want I want everyone to know, like, this record's going to take you into the light. So it's going to be something positive, or at least not really dark.
Well,
yeah.
you know what Minnie Pearl said about Hank Williams seeing the light? The only lights he saw were the ones in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, and they were red and blue.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have plans to come out with a video to go along with the new?
Yeah, we do. And actually, one of the hard things is it's a timing thing. So the publicist wants the record, one completed official music video, and all of the package 3 months before the record comes out. Now, until the record's completed and the whole team weighs in on what we think the single is, I can't make the music video. It's like, okay, because we want to make the music video on the single, right? So what's the single? And so how do I figure out which video to make? But the answer is yes, there'll be at least one official music video accompanying the release of the record, possibly two by the time it comes out. I don't know which ones yet. I'd like to do one kind of dark song and one light and fluffy and bright and happy song, one of each. But I don't know which one it'll be. I know I'd love to do. The only concept I have is as a music video for "You Drink Like I Do Too," and the concept I have is this kid, fade in on a living room, and it's kind of it's a working class living room. This kid, and he's got his mom. His mom's on the phone, and she's got her whiskey. And she's not really paying attention to him, and she's drinking, and he goes to kiss her, goodnight. And his first reaction is, ew, what's that taste? And then you see close up on his face, it's like, ooh, that's kind of good, right? And so you see him transform, getting the taste of bourbon, kissing his mommy goodnight when he was a kid. And then each scenario this kid goes through, you watch the kid grow up and go through his life, and each time I sing "You Drink Like I Do Too," some character in the video is actually saying it. So you've got the carny who tells him, I've got enough clowns, I don't need you. You've got the voodoo woman in New Orleans. Every time he sings "You Drink Like I Do Too," it's these other characters saying it. So that's my concept. I'd really like to make that music video. It's really expensive to make.
Yeah, but I love it. I think it'd be a great video, no doubt about it.
I'll try to make it really funny.
Right now, it's time for Nick's Picks. This is the time of the show where I pick out a band or artist that is signed or fairly well known, Tonight I picked out a classic, Henry Gross, mostly known for his song Shannon, about the puppy dog that sails away. But I picked out a couple of his songs, a couple of my favorite songs off his 1975 album, Plug Me Into Something. And I've talked to Henry several times on Facebook and stuff, emailed him and stuff like that. And he always appreciates when we play his stuff on the Basement Tapes. My favorite songs off of Plug Me Into Something were Southern Band and Tomorrow's Memory Lane. I think you're going to like them just as much as I do. So I always say for Nick's picks, if your amplifier goes from 1 to 10, turn it up to 11. This is Henry Gross doing Southern Band.
Was
And now for something completely different.
She don't like her eggs all runny. She thinks crossing her legs is funny. She looks down her nose at money. She gets it on like the Easter bunny. She's my baby, I'm her honey. I'm never gonna let her go.
He ain't got laid in a month of Sundays. Caught him once and he was sniffing my undies. He ain't too sharp, but he gets things done. Drinks his beer like it's oxygen. But he's my baby and I'm his honey. I'm never gonna let him go.
In spite of ourselves, we'll end up sitting on a rainbow. Against all odds, honey, we're the big door prize. We're gonna spike our noses right off of our faces. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes. She thinks all my jokes are corny. Convict movies and make her horny. She likes ketchup on her scrambled eggs. Swears like a sailor when she shaves her legs. She takes a licking and keeps on ticking. I'm never gonna let her go.
He's got more balls than a big brass monkey. He's a whacked out weirdo and a love bug junkie. Sly as a fox, crazy as a loon. Payday comes and he's a howling at the moon. But he's my baby, I don't mean maybe. I'm never gonna let him go.
In spite of ourselves, we'll end up a-sitting on a rainbow. Against all odds, honey, we're the big door prize. We're gonna spike our noses right off of our faces. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes. In spite of ourselves, we'll end up a-sitting on a rainbow. Against all odds, honey, we're the big door prize. We're gonna spike our noses right off of our faces. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes. There won't be nothing but big old hearts dancing in our eyes. In spite of ourselves.
Something a little completely different there for you. John Prine and Iris Dement doing a little In Spite of Ourselves. If you've never heard that album before, I highly recommend it. John Prine does about 15 different duets with different women on the album, and every one of them are great. Bootsy and I actually sing that song, and we do Dear Abby too, don't we, Bootsy?
I think Dear Abby's like the very first song that we ever did together, ever.
I think so, yeah. I love that
We did
song,
it at a
too.
family reunion one year.
Yes, we did.
And that was back when, that was before I had even thought about learning how to play the bass guitar.
Yeah, but this one here, when you do this one, you're kind of worried about the older people in the audience because of some of the lyrics in it, you know. They're a little
risque,
questionable.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Jet Set off of Inspired. I love that old song too. Who did that? George Jones and Tammy Wynette, I think, did that originally.
I can't remember.
I think so. Yeah. Good stuff right here in bass. Of course, Henry Gross was Nick's Picks. I love that stuff. Absolutely. I've been listening to that ever since that album came out in 75. I remember buying that album brand new, as a matter of fact. Boy, that was That was some good times back then. Good stuff. Right now, I'd like to remind everybody that we are brought to you by Merle's Music. I mean, and that is one of the coolest little music stores in the whole world. Right here in Rolla, Missouri. It's like a candy store for musicians. Just go on down and pick out your favorite candy.
Well, you do know that the annual Taylor Road Show is coming up at Merle's, November 3rd.
That's going to be fun.
Yep. Lots of people bought their first guitars there. Some people bought their 4th, 5th, and 6th guitars there.
I'm still buying guitars there.
But, the Taylor Road Show is always a great experience, and it's always pretty much filled, so you need to make sure that you get in touch with Merle's and make your reservations. It doesn't cost you anything, but you need to make sure that Merle knows you're going to be there.
And Taylor makes a great guitar. I don't own a Taylor yet. I'll say yet. I bought my Martin Herringbone HD28 from Merle. I was like the first person that played it out of the case from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. And as soon as I hit the first chord on it, I said, well, I'm going to have to buck up some money and get this thing, So I did. And I've been pleased with it ever since, let me tell you what. So go on down to Merle's, walk in the door, walk up to the counter, and just look at them, real big smile on your face, and say, Bootsy Hambone sent me. And they'll get a big smile on their face, too, I guarantee it.
And while you're there, you can get both a Martin and a Taylor, because Taylors and Martins sound very different. I have a Taylor, and it's very bright, and it's great for when I need that bright, country Nashville sound.
Yep.
But I play a Martin mostly because I like that mellow Martin, woody sound. But it's kind of good to have both, so you can go to Merle's and you tell Merle that Bootsy said I'm supposed to get a Martin and a Taylor today.
You tell them that. I will be their favorite person ever.
Absolutely. That's great. Don't forget the morning show every weekday, Monday through Friday, with Stan, Jesse, and Steve from 7 to 9 in the morning. They got the Backward Song of the Day contest and stuff like that. And then the Living Room Chair Show with Dusty on Saturdays, which is right after the Sammy Hagar show. You're going to love that. He plays the best jam band music you've ever heard in your life. But it's not the best music. It's the indie music that Nick and Bootsy play on the Basement Tapes right here. We're glad you guys tuned in tonight. We do have a couple of more songs left for you guys tonight. We're going to start out the last set with Fuzzyhappy, a great band from right here in Rolla, Missouri. They've got very unique sounds that come out of Fuzzyhappy. I think you're going to love this song. This is one of Bootsy's favorite songs.
Yes, it is. I love this song.
It's called Heathen. And then after that, it's a Nick Thomas song. Well, actually, I didn't write this song. I did record all the instruments in my studio, and I sang it. But it's one of our favorite Peter Karp songs from out of Nashville, Tennessee. And the reason I picked that one tonight is because of the weather outside. It is drizzly and rainy, and the name of the song is Dirty Weather. So we're glad you guys tuned in. RJ, you got anything left to throw at them before we get out of here?
Just be safe, and thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting this radio program for 350 episodes and counting.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you for letting me be here. I really enjoyed
You are welcome
not only just
anytime.
doing the show, but the time I spent here in Rolla, Missouri, and playing shows and getting to know people. And I'll be back next year.
Yay.
Well, I tell you what, once you've been in the basement, you're part of the family, so
Yes,
you got to come
are.
back.
All righty then.
All right. This is Fuzzyhappy doing Heathen.
their books, you'll find new what they were thinking of. Well, oh, Dumont, Cash, Thompson, Dickens and Mayfield, even Dixon and Johnson. A room full of records and the books in my bed. Me and the Giants, man, it's all very dead. Outside a white patch of cloud and mist, held the sky together like a heavyweight fist. I heard the winds, man, they blow and shout, beware. There's dirty weather about. Yeah, man, you gotta look out for that dirty weather. Conrad poked fun of my dark, dark heart. Zevon cracked off with a wise-ass remark. Poe offered up his opium pipe. Davis spat, you ride like some old white hillbilly type. One by one they turned on me. I didn't ask why, it was obvious to see. One by one they rained it down on my head. Man, the Giants, man, it's all very dead. Outside a white patch of a cloud and mist, held the sky together like a heavyweight fist. I heard the winter wind, man, they blow and shout, beware. There's dirty weather about. Yeah, you gotta look out for that dirty weather. Look out. I run a ragged on dreams and rested on my bones. Misstated my meanings in the singulars and plural. Yeah. Johnson joked, so you're the writer of your age. Linen cut deepest, prophet and a sage. And all the geeks, they smirk, mock, and leave. One of them fired, now there's a real human tragedy. On and on it went into the night, but then it grew still at the first crack of light. Opened up my book, I wrote down what was said between me and the Giants. Man, it's all very dead. Outside a white patch of cloud and mist, held the sky together like a heavyweight fist. I heard the winter winds, man, they blow and shout, beware. There's dirty weather about. You gotta look out. There's dirty weather out there everywhere. Look out. Dirty weather. Dirty weather. Dirty weather. Dirty weather. Dirty weather. Dirty weather.
K-Kid, 92.9 FM. The Basement Tape Show with Bootsy and Nick on the radio. Sunday nights is the place to be. Sitting in the basement with Nick and Bootsy. They're playing tunes from all the local bands. A lot of great music from here in America's heartland. Now Bootsy, she plays a left-hand bass. She plays it with a lot of finesse and grace. Nick, he plays a mean guitar. The blues sound good coming out of his amplifier. The tunes, the live interviews, spontaneous, awesome stuff. So on Sunday night, let's all do it right. K Kid, we are there.